Take another call. The question is that the report of the Commerce Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of Solid Energy New Zealand Limited be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, I understand the next entity members wish to debate is Learning Media Limited. The question is that the report of the Education and Science Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of Learning Media Limited be noted.
Mr. Chair.
Now, I understand from my reckoning to the member, the Green Party has used the 4 calls that's been allocated in this 3-hour debate, and if you are getting a call from another party that's been allocated to you by negotiation, that's fine. But at this stage, your party has had 4 calls. Is this speaking to the point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I understand that we have been allocated calls from at least from Mana, and our records indicate that we are entitled to 5 at this stage. Brendan Horan.
Is that 5?
6, including Brendan Horan, sir.
I have 4, including the Mana, so I'll look at that. So if at this stage, if you were to take the Mana call, I'd accept that. So
Thank you, sir.
If Catherine Delahunty wishes to take the call, and
Thank
we
you,
will
Mr.
check
Chair.
before we start, we'll check out whether you actually have 6 in total, including Manas. But at this stage, I call Catherine Delahunty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Green Party is keen to support this organisation, Learning Media, who came before our Select Committee and indicated that they were having considerable difficulty with the new environment in which the government had placed them. And in order to put this in context, I think it's important to remember who is Learning Media. They're part of a jigsaw of support that provides us with excellent educational materials, including one of the most iconic ones, the School Journal, which is 106 years old. And it was quite concerning to hear at the Select Committee that Learning Media are facing some considerable difficulty. Up till September 12 last year, they had what is known as a preferred provider arrangement, and they were actually doing a fine job, particularly in targeting some of our, what have been identified as some of our more vulnerable learners. And so they have been providing extremely good support to schools through what they call deliberate design principles, including catering for the diversity of students in New Zealand schools, supporting Māori students to achieve success as Māori, enable alignment between text and student needs, building student capacity, and supporting reading and writing, and many other things. And they are very well known in the education sector as being a highly successful model. So it really was unfortunate to hear that after September 12 last year, they had been forced to enter into a new contested environment. So in that contested environment, they're competing with a whole lot of people who don't have their overheads. But this state-owned asset has proved their worth, not only through the School Journal, but through many other educational materials that they've provided. They have made a particular feature of recognising that Māori students and Pacific students benefit from very specific and culturally responsive programs. But no, the market must dominate. And unlike Solid Energy, it wasn't that they were spending millions of dollars on bonuses. It isn't that they've been over-rewarding their top echelon in a sort of random and unacceptable manner. These people have worked very hard to adjust to the changes that government keeps requiring, but unfortunately they are actually suffering from this new competitive model, and it means that they are no longer able to guarantee that they can do what they were set up to do. So basically what is happening is they're being forced to produce all their work at a new whole expensive layer of business, but everything has to be directed towards pitching for contract. So instead of doing the job and using the expertise which they have accumulated over many years of practice as a state-owned asset, they now have to compete, and they now have to direct time and energies and resources into pitching for contracts. Interestingly, and this is actually relevant, I was at a mayoral forum in the Waikato region near my home the other day, and some of the mayors were talking about how they had discovered that constantly contracting out everything that they do is costing them more money than they are able to justify and that they're taking contracts back in-house for a range of issues. Now, obviously, that's not education, it's other types of issues, but the contracting culture, they had realised, doesn't always work. And if you want a quality and a sustained quality in education, and this applies to the bill we debated in the House this afternoon as well, you need to, not new, Mr Chair, but the government needs to commit to state-owned assets who are capable of providing that consistency. Throwing learning media to the wolves and asking them to be part of a contestable environment has not worked for them. And they're not in huge debt. They're not collapsing, but they're finding that they're not able to focus. If you spend all your if we spend all our time trying to get contracts, competing with organisations with hardly any overheads and who have flavour of the month ideas but do not have a sustained commitment, then our children are going to lose out. And that's what this is supposed to be about an educational provision that's going to work. And so it was with great concern that we heard what we heard from learning media, because we think that allowing this to disintegrate in a hands-off way is going to be a disservice to children. So if generations of Kiwi kids grew up reading the stories of many great authors, and if you know anything about this, if we know anything about it, these authors have relied on the school journal has relied on them. There's been a tradition of attracting quality because those people who are providing it know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it and they know how it works. And having had conversations with some of the people at learning media, offline if you like, outside the select committee, what I heard was a very deep commitment to Māori and Pacific learners. And it would be a disgrace if learning media do not survive this. It's part of an overall belief system that contracting, competing is always better, but it isn't. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Members, the question is that the report of the Education and Science Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of Learning Media Limited be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. I understand that the next entity members wish to debate is the New Zealand Qualifications Authority. The question